CEDS, and we will go ahead and get started. Welcome. Welcome, Danielle, East Colfax. If you are a business owner, give me 1 second. We're trying to help other business owners to join as well. Hold on 1 minute. Just real quickly, Zoom instructions. I know many of you have joined a million Zooms at this point, but I'll quickly just go over this. If you're not speaking, please do mute your microphone. And if you have any questions, you could use the raise hand icon and also raise your hand. Or you can also put your questions in the chat and we'll respond to your questions accordingly. If you're calling in again, please do rename your device so we know who you are and so forth. So yeah, again, if you have any questions, put in the chat and we'll, that'll be all as far as Zoom etiquette and instructions. So we have lots of resources for you today in the agenda. Of course, we'll go ahead with introduction and some safety grant opportunity information. And you'll also hear from Mickey with CEDS, and she'll go over the program and the different resources that they have for small businesses. And after that, we'll do a poll. And we did a business survey recently, and I'll go into more details of that business survey for you all. And my coworker, Mariana, is going to present on this international district. And we'll have some announcements. Of course, gift giveaways at the end. So please, business owners, again, rename your device, put your business name in the chat, not only for the giveaways, but also so that our colleagues and your next door businesses could also be familiar with your business names. And where you want to put details of where you are and everything, you can, of course. But yeah, well, thank you for joining us, everyone, so early on a Thursday morning here. Next, Veronica. Okay, so Mariana is going to come up and do a little bit of introduction of our stuff, and I'll pass it to her.
Thank you, Sabe. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us, as Sabe said. We are the Fax Partnership, and our mission statement is to strengthen and support residents and small businesses while promoting equity and advocating for community serving development. Our executive director is Monica Martinez. I am Mariana Ledesma, as I said. Asil Shahabed, and Asil, I am sorry, I am butchering your last name, is our operational manager. Sabe Kamir, our host today, is our business outreach manager. Denise Bird is our housing navigator. Veronica Conchas is our outreach assistant. Amlaku Estie is our outreach assistant. Hani Sin is our marketing intern. And between all of us, we have 8 languages in-house. So we are the Fax Partnership, and we thank you for joining us today.
Hi, so I'm Veronica Conchas, the outreach assistant for the Fax Partnership, and I'm just here to talk to the business owners about a really great opportunity, and that is the safety grants. So the city and county of Denver has actually had safety grants for small businesses at East Colfax. So what are these? So basically we are partnering with the Denver Police Department, and we are visiting the businesses and having crime prevention through environmental design walks, or CEPTED. And in those visits, we are just communicating with the businesses about their safety concerns. We are also having them sign the trespass agreement for 2022 if they are interested. And then we are also looking around their businesses to see what other safety improvements can be made. And with that, the Denver Police Department is also writing a report which we will be filing through DITO, and hopefully receiving funding to be able to provide and be able to just improve their businesses through safety. And when is it? Every other Wednesday, during 10 a.m. through 12 p.m. And then how are you able to assist us? How are you able to contact us? You can contact me through my email, and we will set up a time and the day which Wednesday works for you. And yeah, so hopefully please contact us, and we'll see you later. And now I am introducing Mickey O'Neill from CEDS. If you want to take it away.
Great. I'm very excited to be here representing CEDS Finance, which is a community loan fund that invests in small businesses. And we have a partnership with the Fax, and it's really wonderful to work with. I really enjoy working with them because I know they are on the ground supporting businesses and always have a really great insight into what you guys are going through. So there's a lot here I may not cover and I know they have some. I'm going to try to go through this relatively quickly without it being too quick, but I'm not going to go into all the detail just because there's a lot here, but I wanted to keep it there for you to be able to have a reference. They're going to be sending these slides out, and so hopefully some of the things that are on the slides that I don't get to can be something that you can think about. Okay, can you go to the next slide? Yes. So the main thing that when we're talking about loan readiness, the most important question is for you to consider if a loan is right for you. Like a loan can be a powerful investment in your business that can help you grow or make an investment if something, if you have a repair or something like that. But usually a loan can be a powerful investment for growth and for just continuing to get better. But you have to really make sure you're doing it at the right time. So can you go to the next slide? So these are basically the things that you really have to think through and have a good answer for yourself before you know that it's kind of the right time to get a loan. So first, do you have a specific use of how you'll use the loan dollars? Just kind of thinking I need some extra cash, that's not necessarily going to lead to that growth that you're looking for. And you need to be getting growth because you need to be able to afford the monthly loan payments. Right. So you should have very specific ideas of what you need money for. Now, oftentimes it's equipment or other specific investments, like maybe building on that safety grant and making some environmental improvements. So maybe some new renovations, and that's going to help you attract more customers. So it can be things like that, or it can be oftentimes we actually are doing more. You need a little bit of money. Sometimes your clients pay you late, and so you need some money to help you through that time. If that's the case, though, you have to figure out a plan to get out of that cycle too. So that's an area where you might need to be a little more cautious. But so that's first, how are you going to use the loan dollars? The second question is, and this is probably the most central, as you can imagine, can you afford the monthly loan payments? And so in order to answer that question for yourself, you have to have a pretty good handle on what your monthly income is and your monthly expenses. And you guys can't see my cursor, so I will, but I am on that second box and then that first bullet. So yes, so you have to have a pretty good understanding of what your kind of inflows and outflows are. And then, because if you don't kind of have a great sense of that, you might be able to make some kind of guesses about it, whether or not you could afford your loan payments, but you won't really know for certain. And you don't want to go for a loan if you're only kind of making guesses. So then you also have to think about how will those, your revenue, your sales and your costs, and it may be one, it may be both, change after you invest the loan proceeds. So if you make renovations, you're probably hoping that that's going to drive higher sales, and so you're going to have more money to afford the loan payments. But that actually goes to the third big box, which is how will you make sure you actually achieve that growth? So it's probably not just going to be enough just to make that improvement. You have to have some plan for advertising that to get people to come back to you who've already been there, or make sure it's very visible on the outside. So it's not just how are you going to use the loan, it's also what are your plans to make sure it's effective. So for an existing business, that means how will your marketing, sales, or operations change to drive higher sales or savings? So how are you actually, you think you're going to change, your profits are going to go up, but what's your plan to actually make that happen? And that's, I think, for existing businesses, that can be targeted to those changes. For startup businesses, you really have to have a very well-developed plan. So it kind of depends on overall, not just on that piece, but overall. The one question I skipped that we're going to come to on the next slide is, in figuring out can you afford monthly loan payments, you need to understand if you can afford it, you have to know how much those loan payments will be. How much will you owe each month? So can we go to the next slide? So I will tell you, many banks and us, we are usually not going to tell you what we think the loan payments are going to be, because there's so many factors that go into it, but you can make a very good estimate for yourself. And I really recommend, even before coming to a loan officer, using one of these loan calculators. This is, I think we're sending out this presentation, and hopefully you can use these links. There's a lot of loan calculators on the internet. I like this one that's down at the bottom in red, just only because it doesn't have a lot of ads associated with it, and I haven't gotten a ton of like spam from it, I don't think. So it's a good one to use, but any loan calculator, they're all pretty much the same. So what you use here is you'll just put in your loan amount. So that's here in this example, it's 10,000, and that's called principal sometimes if you're looking at somewhere else. Usually use fixed term. That just fixed term just means it's a set amount of time. You want to be fixed, or this is on the side, it's a little bit of just vocabulary. So principal means how much are you borrowing. Fixed or floating is your interest rate. And it also means, will your payment be the same every month, and your interest? Generally, you want to go with fixed if you can. So your loan term is how long you have to pay the loan back. And that's actually going to be the biggest determinant, the biggest thing that factors into how much you pay every month. If you have longer to pay it off, your monthly payments are going to be less. Overall interest over time is going to be higher, but your monthly payments will be less. We give anywhere from 6 months to 5 years. So you can put that in there. And then your interest rate, that's an annual interest rate. I think it's usually good for what you guys are at to think about 8 to 10% is your current as the interest rate in there. But so yeah, so you can basically kind of put in and see, it'll show you your monthly payment on the side. It has the monthly payment as on this one as being $313. So that's a $10,000 loan, 3-year term, 8%. And so this is just a really helpful tool when you're thinking about, and you may think, okay, I have to make an investment that's longer so I can make a 5-year term, and that will make this go down. I'm not sure, I'm going to guess. I think this will go down like to $200 a month or something, but that might not be right. So put those numbers in and go to that loan calculator when you're thinking about, I think I need this much. How can I afford to pay that? This is a really good tool. Okay, let's go. The next, okay, and the next one. So now we're actually going to talk about, okay, you decided that a loan is right for you. So when you come to a place like this, now I will say a bank is a great option if you can get it. A couple things a bank will look at, and I would recommend if you are able to get a bank loan, you should go for a bank loan. Their interest rates will be lower. And their process will be fairly quick, but that's because they will look at 2 things, basically. Credit score, and you have to have a certain credit score, and they will look at your profit of your business the last 2 years. So you have to be operating, and you have to have for at least 2 years, and you have to have good financial statements that show good profit. And you have to have a good credit score. So if you have those 2 things, try to go to a bank. that will be the best option for you. But places like us exist because we know a lot of people, either because they're in a startup or they don't, their credit history might be a little more complicated. We exist to fill some of those gaps. So this is kind of, but I will say, so our process, because we don't actually use, I'm going to get to this in a little bit, but because we don't use a just cutoff score for credit, that doesn't mean we don't look at credit history. We do look at credit history, but we don't have a required cutoff score because we go deeper. And what allows us to give loans is because we do go deeper and understand the individual businesses. So it will take more time and we will be asking for more. I will say to you, I took out this slide, so now I'm realizing I should have had it, is don't be very cautious of anywhere that will, if you do not have a good credit score and you do not have financial history, of any place that will quickly give you a loan without making you go through all of this. That's probably predatory lending, and it's probably going to be an interest rate that is almost impossible to get off and pay through. It will just, I understand how people can go to those places, but I just want to caution you to do it, to avoid doing that if at all possible, because you will get in a cycle that is really hard to get out of. And those are if they promise you things that nobody else is promising you, it's probably a sign that they are a predatory lending source. Okay, so sorry. So in terms of qualifying for a business loan, what you might notice is these three questions. Do you know specifically how you'll use the loan dollars? Can you afford the monthly loan payments? And how will you make sure this investment helps you achieve that growth? These are the same questions I told you to ask yourself. These are what we're asking. This is the primary thing that we're asking. Will you be able to pay us back? And these are the questions. And so all the things that we require basically map to these. So we require you to provide us information of how you're going to use your loan. And that, so like that may mean if you're buying a big piece of equipment, what you're going out and pricing that and showing us what that costs. It can look different for different types of businesses. Then we also need to know, when we're evaluating, can you afford the monthly loan payments? We're looking at current financials. So do you have financial reports for your business from the last year? If you don't, we will help you on this, but it is something that is really, really important for us to be able to evaluate this question. Then we look at bank statements, and we look at both your business and your personal. And that helps us kind of verify the financials, but we also look at personal, because we know for most small business owners, your personal and your business, while we want you to keep them separate in your bank account, they also are very tied. So like if you can't pay, especially if you're in the startup phases and you can't pay the loan out of business income, can you pay it out of personal income? And so usually by the fact that we look at personal, because we'll also look at household income and expenses, most of the time that's a benefit to our borrowers because they often have other income that is coming in to the household besides their business. And so we can count that in thinking about whether or not you can afford the loan payments. Sometimes you don't, and it's just basically the same. But we do want to kind of understand, usually it's a benefit to our clients. And then financial projections is, again, going back to that idea of projections just means your kind of budget for the future, going back to that idea of this investment, how is your future financials going to differ from your current financials based on, and usually that's partly that might be, okay, COVID is over. Hopefully COVID is close to being over. So it might be that. And then it's also going to be, I'm making this investment, so my sales are going to go up, or I'm buying this piece of equipment, which is going to save me a lot of time and save me expense. So that's kind of what we're looking for on that financial projections. This is something that I do a lot of help with clients. We do a little bit of help on the current financials, but I really love my role specifically. I didn't actually introduce that, is to help. I actually don't evaluate whether or not businesses qualify for loans. I am here to help you put together some of these things so that you are ready to qualify for a loan. So I help a lot on putting together financial projections. And then the final thing that we ask is a business plan. How will you make sure this investment helps you achieve that growth? So again, for existing businesses, which I think a lot of you are, what we're going to be looking for is not necessarily a full-blown, we're not going to require some fancy full-blown business plan, but we are going to need to understand how your plan to make sure the investment you're making in your business will lead to increased sales or reduced costs. It can be one, it can be the other, it can be both. But that's kind of what we're looking for in the business plan, is just to make sure you have that plan to make these financials actually become true. You can go to the next slide. Okay, and so those are the main things that we're looking for. The other thing we're just kind of making sure that we do require, and most lenders require, is formal business formation. So that's just making sure you're legally ready, your registration and taxes, and just sort of that you're legally legit. We do not look at credit scores, but we do look at credit history. And that is largely to understand your sort of history with debt. And so we are a character-based lender, which means we focus on going deeper than your credit score and kind of making sure that you're somebody committed to paying back our loan. So that's part of that is looking at our credit history. Not all of that is, but that is kind of besides the last slide I went over was mostly like determining, are you going to have the money to be able to pay it back? Like, is it going to be, your business is going to be successful enough to be able to pay this money back, this loan back? This slide is a little bit more just making sure that you are kind of somebody who will pay it back as long as you have the money, right? And so this is, yes, the first bullet is just the legal stuff. The second bullet is getting to understanding your history with debt. And the way we're different, besides not using credit score, is that we will also, just because you have something that was charged off or something, doesn't mean we're automatically not going to give you a loan. It doesn't mean that we will, but we will talk to you about it, understand the context. We do a lot more, just basically understanding what you were going through and working to see, okay, yes, that was something you did that you've been working to repair that. Actually, this third bullet is fairly exciting. Collateral is usually required. Almost all loans in Colorado, business loans in Colorado, require this. We are launching, you guys are going to get a sneak preview. We are launching in about 2 weeks a collateral-free loan up to $20,000. So we know that collateral for folks can be a barrier. And so we are always focused on trying to serve our clients better. And so we're really excited about this collateral-free loan. And I think that will open us up to being able to also finance like if you need money for your inventory or you need money to stuff like that, or even to, hire some new employees that are then going to pay off. We can fund that now in a way that we probably haven't in the past, because we often funded equipment because that equipment would be the collateral. So if you still need a huge piece of equipment, $30,000, that equipment will be the collateral. So that's fine. So you'll be over the 20,000, but you'll have whatever you're buying will be the collateral. But for when you wanted to use the funds for things that couldn't serve as collateral, that was much more difficult. Does that make sense? I know I've been going and I don't see any questions, so I hope I haven't missed any questions. Okay. And then equity, the final question is how much you invest in the business. So pretty much any lender is going to want to see that you are putting either your own money or, okay, thank you, Denon, that they want to see either that you're putting your own money or have put your own money into the business, so you're willing to do that, or that you're reinvesting money from the business. So it can be, so for us, for example, if you're, but let's just do that simple example of that $30,000 piece of equipment, whatever that might be, something big. you could spend $3,000 when it's collateralized loan, we require 10% equity. One of the ways you can meet that equity is 10%, like $3,000 that you pay from the business profits or yourself for that piece of equipment. The other thing that actually though is you've just showed that you have spent $3,000 on other things in the business. And that again, can be your money or reinvesting the business profits, which is just using it for using the business sales for the expenses. So it's usually not, equity is usually fairly easy to show and demonstrate, at least the way that we define it, because it's a little broader than just a down payment. If it was just a down payment, that might be more difficult, but we look at it more broadly than that. So that's it's usually the collateral that's a bigger barrier, which is why we're introducing that collateral-free loan. Okay, you can go to the next. These are pretty much, I'm actually not going to go through this because this is largely what we just talked about. I think there's everything that's here we've already just mentioned, but this is kind of a snapshot. So if you're seeing it, when we send this out, this might be a good slide to refer to. Okay, you can go to the next. So here's our process, just so you kind of understand. Now, again, if you go to a bank process and they're looking and you have the credit score, it'll be very quick, but it's very quick because they don't actually look at your personal situation. They just judge you on those numbers, and then and you have to have those numbers and you have to be able to submit it easily, and then they'll make a decision. Because we give to people who won't qualify based on those numbers, we have to go a lot deeper. So our intake process is you submit an inquiry form, and we have that on the web now, so you can just go and fill that out on the web. I'll make sure that they have that link too. Then what will happen is we'll follow up and have a conversation with you about explaining basically a lot of what I just went through. But we'll do it and talk to you about your business a little bit. Then we'll kind of have you complete all of those things, send it to us. You can send them in pieces, and we'll compile it. And once it's complete, then ideally we will send you to underwriting. I will make a caveat that we've had a backlog of applications right now, so we do have a delay. Hopefully I think we're close to being able to address that, and hopefully we'll be going through applications very quickly, and in a month or so we will be back to just underwriting applications as they get complete. Maybe it'll be a little bit more than a month, but hopefully the people who submit, there will not be people waiting as long as they have recently. And I apologize to anyone who that's been the truth for. So yes, so then once your application is complete, that often takes the longest. So a lot of times if somebody says, oh, it took me a long time, it's because it took them a long time to get a complete application, usually under normal circumstances. And then you'll go to underwriting, which is when we kind of analyze all those questions I went through. If you're applying for 30,000 or more, that will actually have to recommend, our staff will recommend whether or not you get a loan, but it actually is an external independent credit committee that will determine whether or not you actually get it. So they'll make a presentation saying, here's why I believe they should get it. And most of the time that credit committee goes with the staff recommendation, but not 100% of the time. Okay, and you can go to the next page. So this is just I think we're getting, let's see, what time is it? 9:30. Okay, so I'm going to actually I'm not going to maybe go through all of these, but I think if you are thinking you're going to want a loan now, as I said, that application process can be like getting all the documents in can be a long process. So I would really make sure you kind of start thinking about this stuff now. So if you're an existing business, you should have to have all of your formal paperwork ready. Then do this, identify exactly how you're going to use the money. And so specifically, like, do your look online for how much that thing, what you want to buy costs, like kind of come out with as specific as possible. Now this can change, like, especially if you're getting a smaller loan that's not for equipment, but you're saying, okay, I need to invest more in marketing. You can have kind of line items of marketing that may change, but they can't change significantly. If we approve you for a marketing loan and then suddenly you want to use it for paying an operations assistant or something, that we can't do that because we approved you for a marketing loan. So you can make adjustments, but don't make them too big. But these are kind of things that you should be identifying investments and then developing financial reports. This is often the biggest piece that needs some work. And I can actually talk, I think I have a few things about how to help on some of this, but the main things are keeping your business and personal accounts separate. That's important to lenders. It'll also make knowing what your business is making and spending much easier if you keep it separate from your personal account. It'll make it a lot easier. And then you want to be making sure you're just recording your sales and expenses. Ideally using a free or low cost accounting software, but you can also be doing this on paper or an Excel sheet if that's the way that works for you. I think the accounting software actually makes things easier. So once you get over the hurdle of it feels a little intimidating, if you can have somebody help you get over that hurdle, and we're here to do that, it can actually make it a lot easier. And then also work on formalizing your business plan. There's a lot of people out there to help you on this, so that doesn't need to be a lonely effort. And that's something we can get. We have a pretty simple template that we use, so we can give you that too. Startup businesses, the only thing I want to say is you can read all this. I think most of the people here are not startup, it's my assumption, but the one thing I will say here is creating a number 4 and number 5. That's going to take a little bit. Creating a budget is really going to be important. And there's you want to look at probably similar businesses and think through some of the things. And then I would say the business plan is going to be more important when we're evaluating a loan for a startup business than for an existing business. Because an existing business, we kind of know, we can see how you've already figured out certain operations things and different things. And we're going to be focusing on just the changes. How are you making changes for the existing businesses? For the startup businesses, we want a more developed business plan. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So this is just a little bit, I have a couple things of just to help you if financial records are a pain point for you and kind of challenging or a little overwhelming. These are a couple places to start. So 4 to 6 weeks of data. I mean, ideally, obviously, you have all your data from last year. You have good financial reports from last year. That's the ideal. But if you don't have that, don't think that it all is lost. 4 to 6 weeks of good data is enough to create a budget and provide meaningful insight into your business. So if you do not have this, but you think that if you do not have financial records, but you think you want to apply for a loan, what I would do is start today and really figure out how am I going to get 6 weeks of sales data and expense data. And then once you have that, you can be ready to come to us. If you don't have any idea, then you come to us and there's not much even I can do to help because we have to have somewhere to start with your actual business. So I can help you on maybe some templates or ways to track this 4 to 6 weeks, but then you're going to have to go back and do that. So basically, I think starting here is really important. We have in this, I'm going to send you guys a folder. There's just some templates that you can use. You can even track on paper if you need to. Again, I think having it electronically in Excel or Google Spreadsheets, which is free, is a good way to do it because it'll give you a little more flexibility and it's a little, I think, easier. But for some people who it's not easier, take paper, who's still on paper, that's fine too, at least for us. You can go to the next page. So then this is going to be, I think, the last one I'm going to go in any detail on. But you also just in general should start today implementing stronger financial practices. So that 4 to 6 weeks is a great start, but I think some of these you can do simultaneously at the same time as you're starting tracking those 4 to 6 weeks. But some of these may be like these, you may want to wait until after you get that. But here are some ways to start. So keeping your personal and business accounts separate is really big. So set up your business bank account and credit card. If you keep these separate, it's going to be really easy to look for an accountant to come in or a bookkeeper to come in and actually just do your books, because it's very obvious what's in your business account. You should understand the difference between business and personal expenses. There are sometimes things that blend, and that's a more complicated topic that I won't get into right now. But for the most part, those focus on the things that are if it's largely business, put in business. If it's largely personal, put in personal. But here's the thing is, you need money from your business, or you need to put money into your business. That's fine. You can transfer money back and forth. So when you want to use your business account you have your money in your business and you need to buy something personally, just transfer the money from your business to your personal account and then pay for it. It just makes everything much cleaner and clearer. And so that's just the way to do it, is you just have to get used to transferring money. That's totally fine. You can transfer money back and forth as much as you need to. Ultimately, it's better to try to pay yourself regularly from your business account, like it's a paycheck, because that'll help you both on your business budget and your personal budget. Because if you know, okay, I'm getting this much amount every 2 weeks, that will help with your budgeting. But that's your ideal. It's totally fine to go back and forth whenever you need to. Just kind of do that transfer of cash rather than paying expenses out of one versus the other. I highly recommend subscribing to accounting software. Wave is free. There's QuickBooks that are $25 a month. The thing that's really good about them is you can link, if you are doing most of your business through electronic sort of means, like people are paying with credit cards or however they're doing it, then you can link that accounting software to those transactions, and you never have to enter them, and it'll just make things a lot easier. But that does mean you have to track your cash carefully. So that's the thing where you need to kind of make some more effort on. And then I also really recommend investing in bookkeeping support. You can treat it kind of as a monthly expense. It's just a necessity of your business. And especially as you grow, that's going to be a really important. There's no reason for you to do this on your own. There's people out there who can do it fairly. And it's just going to be you probably need anywhere from 2 to 5 hours of bookkeeping support a month. You don't need a ton. So I definitely recommend investing in that. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over there. I think there's a few other things that'll be resources for you guys to look at. But I'm going to turn it over now back to the Fax. Yeah, we almost got there.
Thank you so much, Mickey. You gave us a lot of good information. And one of the main things that I took from your presentation is invest in your business.
Yes.
One of the ways that you can do that, a lot of you are already doing this, attending this webinar, getting resources. That is also part of investing in your business. So congratulations to you all for doing that this early morning. Of course, if you have any questions, does anyone have any questions? If you wanna, you can raise your hand, unmute, and ask questions, or also put in the chat.
And I'm available to, if you have individual questions about how to budget or how to do business planning too, but the budgeting and projections is something I really love to help people on. And I know that's an area that people often want help on. So like any general business planning, I'm happy to connect, to have the Fax connect you to me, and we can kind of make a plan for how you might develop that 4 to 6 weeks, or how you might start getting to a place where you have last year's accounting statements in place.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mickey. I just want to recognize that there are business of all kinds on this call. There are restaurants, hair salon, auto services, transportation. If we don't have your business name on here, please do put it in the chat. Again, this is also a networking opportunity. The Fax is on East Colfax, and a lot of the business owners who are here are also on East Colfax. So yeah, it could be a great opportunity for you all to get to know each other, support each other, buy from each other's businesses, or utilize one another's services. Oh, I see Almaz. Is this from Lucy's Ethiopian restaurant? Welcome, Almaz. And yeah, everyone, please do put your business name on here. Are there any questions? I do also notice iPhone 2. If you are a business owner, please put the name of your business. If you are also a sole proprietor, you can just state that as well. This is we want to also make sure that your name is included in the drawing at the end here. If there aren't any burning questions, we can certainly go on to the poll. Okay. So different questions will pop up, and if you are, of course, on your phone or computer, just click on the answer that's appropriate to you. Give it a second for the first question to pop up here. Okay, was this information helpful? Yes, somewhat, or no? Go ahead and click. We'll give you a couple of seconds here. 5 seconds, actually. Wonderful. Thank you all. Nice. 86% of people found this information helpful and 14 somewhat.
And just actually, I would love any feedback on how to make it more helpful. And also, I will say that you mentioned, Sade, that people are very different businesses, and you can pop up the other poll while I'm saying this. And so some of the budgeting and business planning gets very specific. To get into details that can be specifically useful to you, it's very different by industry. So sometimes some of this is a little bit higher level, but if there is like groups of restaurants or groups of others, and you guys want to go through some like budgeting or business plan questions directly relevant to say restaurants, I'd be happy to meet with people or plan something like that.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Miki. Next question. As you are, oh wow, are you considering a loan for your small business? Yes, no, or need more information? And you have 5 seconds to answer this. Wonderful. 50% are considering a loan for their business, and 38% no, and 13% that need more information. Again, for the percent of people who need more information, Miki is a great resource. You can also, of course, reach out to us if you have any follow-up questions or need more information. And we'll go to the next question here. Are you interested in scheduling a safety visit? Yes, no, or need more information? Name here, Eli, E-L-I. If you are with a business, please put your business name here for us. And also iPhone 2. If you could put your business information here, that'd be great. Oh, the next. Thank you for answering that.
Sabi, we already have for iPhone 2.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. 43% yes, 43% no, and also 14% need more information. Great. Thank you for taking this poll for us. And the final question is, are you interested in attending future Fax Town Hall? Yes, no, maybe. And also, if there is a topic as a business owner that you feel is relevant for us to bring to you, please always feel free to email us, give us a call. Our contacts will be here. Again, you have 5 seconds to answer this, and I'm giving you another homework, but thank you for answering this. Wonderful. 100% of people are interested. That's great. Again, give us your feedback. Contact us if you have any questions. We'll go to the next part of our conversation today. Okay, so many of you may have taken the business survey with us, and the purpose of this business survey is just to assess what are the business needs and how we can better serve you. And just a quick breakdown here was 22% of people who responded to our survey are hair and beauty salons or supply businesses, food and beverage, 22%. It's really a great even out number. And then 22% was automotive, and 25% was family market businesses, and 9% was professional services. Next, just again, more breakdown of the business survey. And one of the question was, what are your top 3 business concerns? And 80% of people's business concern were safety, 48% on COVID. And of course, another big number here is 76% people concerning about funding. And part of why we have had this webinar today to introduce you to more funding opportunities. And then just on the right here is, what services do you desire for your business? And 61% was accessing capital, again, part of our discussion today. And 32% were interested in grants and application or technical assistance, something that we have provided in the past and continue to provide technical assistance to businesses. And we also wanted to know how many business owners own their current location and or rent. So 81% rent and 19% are owners. If there are business owners on this call who are interested in purchasing your place of business, or you're interested in like investing in that sense, please let us know. And finally, do you feel connected to East Colfax community? 52% of people said yes, and 42% said somewhat. And on the next part of part of this conversation is International District, and Mariana is going to give you more details, and hopefully that will lead to you feeling more connected to this community. Thank you.
Thank you again, Sabe. So who has heard about the International District? Let us know if you heard about the International District on the chat function. If you haven't heard about the International District, that's totally fine. I'm about to tell you a little bit about it. So the International District designation or designated area, we're talking about the area between East Colfax Avenue, between Monaco Parkway and Yosemite Street. The International District was a recommendation out of the East Area Plan that was adopted by the City and County of Denver on 2020. The purpose or the goal is to celebrate and support East Colfax diversity of people, businesses, food, and events. Now, we want to make sure that we claim and own and celebrate the unique identity of East Colfax corridor. Now, this initiative is really going to take a lot of engagement for this community. And so to that end, we want to invite you to a breakfast that we're going to have on April 20th at 8:45 at Siete Leguas Restaurant. We're going to be talking about how we can engage you, how we can engage all of the businesses in this initiative. So what is an international district? Next slide, please. So here we have some examples of the different international districts around the nationwide. Little Tokyo, South Grand in St. Louis, and Seoul Corridor in Chicago. They all have different history, backgrounds, and they came about in different ways. But they are all about cultural and community preservation, which is exactly what we're trying to do here in the Colfax corridor. So we really invite you to this breakfast on April 20th to come to discuss with us about what is it that you would like to see, how you can get engaged in this process. And we really want to hear from you. Next slide, please. Here you have the boundaries again that I mentioned to you between Yosemite and Monaco. And it is roughly, as you can see, 14 to, is that 16? Yes. So here are the boundaries. Okay. So this process is for you. as I mentioned, it's going to take engagement from all of the businesses of the Colfax corridor.